We now flip it over to our game of the week. Who'd have thought that the game of the week would be a battle of 2-0-2 teams? Two teams that ain't won
Right.
yet, sitting here a game of the week. But it makes sense considering that the Chargers and the Vikings, here we go in Minnesota, both 0-2 right now coming into this one. The line is sitting at a pick 'em basically for the Vikes. This Chargers team, bro, it's so weird, right? It's
Yeah,
so
this is
weird.
weird. We talked
It's so
about
weird.
weird a little minute ago. This team right here is where it needs to be addressed. The weirdness or the weirdness
It's
needs to be addressed right here, bro.
it makes no sense. This team. So okay, the Chargers for everybody listen, 58 points on the season through 2 weeks, no turnovers. No other team in the Super Bowl era has done that and been
Right.
0-2 through 2 games. Right? No other team has ever done that in the history of the NFL. They lost their 2 games by a combined total of 5 points. Usually, if you can light up the scoreboard, not turn the ball over, you will win. Especially if you got dudes on the other side of the ball in the defense, like
Yeah,
they
they
do.
got dudes. They got
They,
dudes too.
they got dudes. The offense, it's nuts. 5th in scoring, 6th most points scored overall, right?
Yeah.
Or 5th in scoring rate, 6th most points scored overall, 4th most yards, 3rd most first downs. One of 5 teams that have yet to turn the ball over, and they ain't won a game. It's just, I mean, I can't really put my finger on it. So obviously, before we go into that's a little bit on the offense, but let's talk about this defense because I think that is the biggest issue here for this squad right now. And you've talked about this before, bro. When when a head coach has like his specialty, and that specialty is at fault, that's where there's problems with the coaching unit in general. That is where we are with Chargers Brandon Staley being a defensive guy. What are the issues that you have noticed for this Chargers defense at this early point in the season?
I mean, he can't stop the run. The defense is not meant to stop the run. And what's really sad about that, I mean, you could put it on him and you could put it on the players. He got players that can stop the run. They're just not. They're not good enough in a sense. And it's sad to say that you got the Joey Bosa on the edge. You got Khalil Mack on the edge, who's known for stopping the run. You know, they got solid DTs. You know, that's known for stopping the run. But for whatever reason, they're just not that's the main flaw of this team. And not even just that, like even with the secondary, like I mean, the passing game for again when they went against Miami was able to get a whole bunch of yards. You seen what Tua was able to do. And you could say all day, well, they got Waddle, they have, they have a Tyreek Hill. I get it. But I mean, this is the
Right.
Chargers. This is, got Derwin James over there. You got J.C. Jackson over there. You got all these different guys over here. And then you got guys coming off the edge. That shouldn't be happening. So now the secondary's taking a hit. So you do got to blame most of it on Staley. And I mean, because he's the defensive guy, bro. He's a defensive guy. And the defense got a lot of talent. This is why they're a Super Bowl darling every year, because at least the last few years, because they have it all on offense. And then they got it all on defense with a defensive-minded guy. So yeah, to me, what stands out still is stopping the run. I think they still that's still a problem.
The thing that's crazy, bro, that's always been their problem and still is there. This is the first year where now they can't stop the pass either.
That's what I'm saying. Now the
That's
pass,
the
now it's
crazy
coming down
part.
where they can't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Now they cannot stop the pass. So now it's becoming an issue with that. And like I said, you can go back and forth. We could say, well, they went against this type of offense and they did this, they did that, but it don't matter, bro. They have all these different players that they signed big contracts to and who they drafted, who's really good players. I mean, anybody would love to have Derwin James as a safety, bro.
Oh my goodness.
And people was, I mean, everybody was trying to go after J.C. Jackson, bro. I mean, and the other guy from TC, I'm blanking on his name. Asante. No, wait.
Did he Asante Samuel Jr.
No, he didn't come out of, yeah. He didn't come out of TCU, though. Did he come out? He
No,
didn't
I
come
don't
out
think
of
so.
TCU. He didn't come out of TCU. But Asante, I mean,
Right.
he's a solid player. So it's just like, I don't know. People, now the secondary's falling apart. So Staley's on the hot seat, bro. And they got an offensive coordinator who was supposed to maybe take over the job over there in Dallas. So, it's a potential, situation that can be brewing right now where Staley could be in trouble. If they
And
don't make
Kellen
the
Moore gonna
playoffs,
slot right in
man,
there.
Kevin Moore is gonna slot right in there, man. Perfect for this offense. So yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it comes down to just Brandon Staley, the secondary, the offense. I mean the defense, stopping
Yeah.
the run and the secondary is an issue with this team.
It's been big, bro. And something else that I also found in when I was studying for this game preview. Since Brandon Staley's arrival, the Chargers have allowed the most completions of 30 yards or more. Over 36 games, the Chargers have allowed 55 30-yard or more completions since Staley has been there. That's the most in the league.
Yeah,
This
that's
and
not.
the crazy thing about it, like I've talked a lot about it. We've talked a lot about it on this show. The two high quarters world, being able to play it from top down umbrella coverage. Imagine like an umbrella being like the dome over the top of everything. And rather than, flying out, they play it umbrella and then you collapse down. That's kind of in a sense like how the Staley and the Fangio world, all that stuff, the two high coverages work. That's what a lot of people are striving to get. When he was with the Rams, that was like, wow, what's this? What's this type of coverage? You get one-on-ones in the running game and you basically get two-on-ones in the passing game. That's what everybody's trying to do and get to, right? So it's not like the scheme in a nutshell isn't working. It has to be something specifically with Staley in that scheme that isn't working. So really,
Maybe
he's
him,
gonna have,
maybe him being a head. Not to cut you off, but maybe him being head
yeah,
coach is too much. We
could
just
be.
talked about this a couple weeks ago, where some guys shouldn't be head coaches. They're more better fit for defensive coordinator jobs, defensive
Mm-hmm.
coordinator, offensive coordinator. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
That could be a part of it, and it could be like he wants to do different things with it. We've seen him in the last couple of years crank up blitzes. I know that like within that quarters world, the whole cover 7 world, that stuff can get really complicated, especially if you mix up the different types of. There's so many different ways you can play quarters coverage, but mixing up those rules from down in and down out can cause players to play slower. And then even at other times, you'll see where it's like JC Jackson in man coverage, and JC Jackson gets torched. There was that one play against Tyreek Hill when I had the Dolphins as my first ICU of the week. I don't expect him to cover that one. But, bro, if it was just that play, that's one thing. But this just every freaking week in and week out, like DeAndre Hopkins roasting you one-on-one coverage on a slant route. Doesn't matter. Like you getting just Tyreek Hill, whoop, this fly route. It hasn't seemed to click into place for anybody. They're even like swapping dudes out in the Titan game. Like, okay, now Mike Davis run a series, and then Asante Samuel come out, and then JC Jackson go in, and then JC just doesn't even look like he's a top tier corner right now either. So there's a lot
he
of things
don't,
going on, but
bro.
I think he don't at all. He don't
And
at all.
part of
He
that,
got
and
like
part of that got to be on him too, though, because I
it
mean,
does.
we
It
looked at
does.
New England. I remember thinking when New England was, letting them go, and we was thinking like, okay, now New England, they normally let a lot of players go, and
They
we
do.
question it. But this player here, I don't know why this one they may be onto something with this one. Now a lot of fans wanted him on our we Raider fans was okay with him coming to the team, and then there's other fans for other teams that wanted him to come. But it was
Of
still,
course.
if you're a diehard football fan, you were still thinking like, why would Bill Belichick want him? Why wouldn't they not? They wasn't fighting for him. Why
No.
So some might be up with him too, though. I mean, he may not
Yeah.
be as good as we thought.
And it's always you see people leave or see certain players leave the Patriots and they go on to other places and they get paid and they're not as good.
They're not as
And
good.
Belichick, apart from being the guy that takes away what teams want to do most and doing that very well, he also knows how to ask players to only do what they do very well. So, and part of it even too, like, yeah, sure, like the Patriots under Bill Belichick, apart from last season, were mostly a man defense, and that's where JC thrives. Quarters,
Mhm.
sometimes, a lot of times, what Staley runs, it basically boils out to man on a lot of different plays. Is man coverage with zone principles. So even when JC's in them man situations, he's getting cooked. So
Yeah.
it's got to fall, like you said, it's got to fall on him too. So, but yeah, it's going to be something to pay attention to. And if that ship
Mhm.
doesn't get righted right now, I mean, Staley, he has to be gone. He has to be gone. So, I
Oh, he
mean,
will
that's
be
just
after this game here.
oh,
He won't be
oh,
the head coach. Look, let me tell. Look, I ain't trying to get ahead of myself. I'm just saying,
Okay.
I don't think he'll be the head coach next year. I'll say that. I'm gonna leave
Okay.
it there.
You've seen enough so far.
I think there's a whole, and it sucks because, well, I mean, it don't suck in a sense because I'm a Raider fan, so it is what it is. But in a sense, if you're a Charger fan, you want to see your team do well and all that. But what you look at the last two games, right? You look at the Miami Dolphin game. That was a tough matchup to begin with. I
Very
mean,
tough.
we knew that was gonna be tough. That could have went either way. The 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 yeah, that could have went. Yeah, that way. And what was the other game? The
They
Titan
played
game.
the Titans
The
last
Titan
week. So
game.
yeah,
And
they
you
lost to the
said,
Dolphins. Yeah, lost to the
and
Dolphins by 2, lost to the Titans by 3.
yeah, and you said the Titans is one of those teams where they can just squeak out these type of wins, and it's like where that come from, it happens. But the Chargers, for whatever reason, sometimes it don't even matter the head coach. It's just they don't have that good luck on their side when it's a close
Yep.
game. They just can't close out. It don't matter who the quarterback is, who the running back is, who the tight end is. They just can't close out. So
Right.
yeah.
That's been a part of the as it's been said, all of the 31 Charger fans in the world, all 31 of them, they they know that you could Charger it
All
up.
in San Diego. All
Yeah,
in
yeah,
San Diego.
yeah. Shout out to Jason Borski, my boy High, and Jeffrey Flagg. Those are 3 of the 31 Charger fans in the whole world. So
Yeah.
big shout out to y'all though. Y'all been loyal through all of this madness that the Charger fans have experienced, from coach to player, like you said, to quarterback to tight end to from water boy to popcorn guy. And that's just how it's been for them. So
Right.
swing it over to the other side of the ball after we just talked about the Charger defense. If we're going to look at this Minnesota offense, right? If we want to talk about a run game that has not helped out its team,
It's the Vikings. I know.
it's the Vikings by
But you know
a
what though?
freaking mile.
Yeah, it is.
It's the worst run game, bro. It's not
You
even
gotta
funny. It's not even funny. 34 yards a game, right? The second worst team
They got
is
Captain
like
Kirk. They got Captain Kirk.
26 rush attempts on the season, and they fumbled the ball 6 times.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Every
It's bad, bro.
4 carries ish or so, you fumbling the ball. This is pitiful. This has been absolutely pitiful. I mean, and it's really funny to me too. Here's what's really funny to
Let me
me
tell you
about
something.
this with the Vikings. The Kirk Cousins contract comes off the books next year, right? Where they won't be hamstrung, hampered, or whatever it is tied to Kirk with all that guaranteed money. That was supposedly the reason why they've been kind of doing like small retools rather than a full rebuild. That money comes off the books now. But now let's think about, through this early part in the 2023 season, where would this Vikings team be without this man? They've been trying to get rid of this dude, more or less, off and on, since he's been there. And now this man is basically like, we just got to let Kirk throw it all the time. And when they do, this passing offense cooks. We all know JJ, Justin Jefferson. He is the man. He's him. We know that. TJ Hawkinson has settled in nicely as a dynamic tight end in this offense. Jordan Addison just scores a touchdown every single week on a deep shot. Once they start to even incorporate him more into the underneath things, into the regular packages of the offense, that's solid. Leaving your fourth option in the passing game being KJ Osborne, that's solid too. Kevin O'Connell, he's just shown he knows how to dial up offenses. I mean, they are calling pass plays right now.
TJ over there. They got Hawkinson over there.
Yeah. That's what I was saying with him being there too. But like, they are dialing up passes, bro, at a 79.5% of the time. Shout out to Justin Nomi, my brother-in-law. I was texting him. He's a Vikings fan. I was texting him on that Thursday night game. I was like, bro, it is time to go fuck it, chuck it. And then we in the first quarter. I don't care. You got no other choice. So that's what they did. But now their O-line is having trouble. And so that's the other part. But earlier when you were going to bring up something, it's big time on the left side. You're going to bring up something earlier in regards to the ground game, the value of Kirk. What was that?
What you were saying, man. I mean, really, they're not able to run the ball, but I guarantee you, they're going to be able to get some yards off this Chargers defense. I guarantee you that. With Madison, bro. With Madison, I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, bro. It's just the Charger way. It's the Charger way. It's going to be one of those games where it's like, oh, yeah, the Chargers should win this one. I mean, Vikings can't run the ball. Chargers is a hard time stopping the run. It should be easy for them. But I guarantee you, Madison is going to have a solid game. I'm not saying he's going to have 150 yards or nothing like that, but he's going to do enough to help them out on offense. You're right, though. As far as that offensive line, that's a concern. And I think it's even more concern because this passing, I mean, all they're doing is passing the ball right now because they
Right.
can't get no type of running game going. So now, defenses is feeding on that. They know about that. So they're like, okay, we know what they're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and send this off to Kirk. Kirk is not gonna run it. We know that. I mean, he's a statue in the pocket. Accurate, but he's a statue. Get erratic at times, and that's what really caused for defenses to really go after him because they know how he is when pressure's on him. But I mean, he delivered some good passes too. When pressure's on him as well too. I mean, he's not scared to
He
get
does.
hit. He can get hit.
He will stand. He will stand in there and throw strikes and get hit,
bro, and throw, bro. Yeah, and now, like you said, Addison, that was a good point. Bringing up Addison, JJ. You know how we're a big fan of him and how good he is, bro. But yeah, this passing game is what's really the mark of this offense. But I do think this running game is going to get something going against this defense, bro. I do. And that's
Okay.
going to be the sad part. That's going to be
Well,
the sad part
okay.
because Chargers going to
I
look at
think
it like, how does that? Who's Madison? We're going to look back and look, when we get back to the Sunday, I won't even be on. I'll be at the Raider game. But
Okay.
I might have to chime in and send a text like Madison. Just say, Jay, hey, he brought up Madison. Here it is right here. He had a solid game. That's what
Because he's
bro.
in spot duty when he filled in for Dalvin Cook over the years. He's been solid. Shout out Jordan Levos, who I have a couple fantasy leagues with actually, and in those fantasy leagues every single year, if I had Madison or not Cook, not Madison, if I had Cook or not, I would still grab Madison because if Cook got hurt, you got Alexander Madison, and he'd be like, well, every time you grab Madison, it don't ever work out, and then it ended up working out because Alexander Madison shows he can do damage on the ground.
Right.
So I think he'll have more than 30. I think this rushing attack will produce more than that. Granted, also you got to look who they win against: Philly, Tampa,
They're at home
good
now
run
too.
defenses. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and then they just got to hang on to the ball. It ended up being comical how much they started fumbling on Thursday. Yeah. 4 freaking times, like you guys putting the ball in the dirt and just, I know you and me are not the people that, Kirk Cousins sucks and da-da-da-da-da. We've never been that. We've been give Kirk his respect, because you watch the game in full. The Kirk is good quarterback. He's not elite, and that's really where it's at. He's good. He's a good quarterback. And so we'll go ahead and see if that can work out. But that offensive line, bro, like you said, on the left side right now, Oli Uda, he's hurt. So that forces David Quisenberry into relief duty because Christian Darrisaw, their starter, he was out last week. And as we sit here and record on a Thursday, Darrisaw is questionable. Garrett Bradbury, the center, is also questionable. And so that's going to force Austin Schlottman into starting duty on the offensive line. He had a problem. Granted, that was going against Philly on Thursday night. And it's not necessarily like any of these people on the Chargers, like you said, are all slouches. But when you're dealing with backups like that, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem to try to deal with. Mm-hmm. So slide it over here to the other side of the ball. Chargers offense. We talked about how good they are. Herbert, I think, is being used far better in Kellen Moore's offense. He is 9th in average depth of target right now in the NFL. He was 36th in average depth of target under the previous coordinator in Joe Lombardi. And that's just really good to see. And I also like what Kellen is doing with the run game. Austin Eckler missed some time. He wasn't able to play last week, but he's getting to the run game in a smart way, like he did when he was in Dallas, and making that a piece of this offense that strengthens it a lot. So that's really what I'm liking to see. And just how they're utilizing these receivers. The one question I got for you, and I wonder if we actually see it this week, because, I mean, their back's against the wall. Do we see more of your boy Quentin Johnson?
Bro, I hope so. I know it's going to be called out. I knew it was going to be called out because I was looking at it like, man, where's this dude at? Where's this dude at, man? Hey, look.
Yeah, where's he? He's
Yeah,
he got to
yeah,
get on the
yeah.
field. He got to get on
He
the
on
field.
he on a milk carton. It's early. It's still early, but this is one of the games where maybe he'll start getting some targets because he's not even targeted really that much, bro. I mean that
Right.
and Mike Williams, I get it. Justin Herbert is used to the Keelan Allens and the Mike Williams and stuff like that. I get it. Kellen Moore is doing a great job, but you brought up a point that I was going to bring up as well as far as the balance of the offense with the run game. We knew this was going to happen. This is what
Right.
makes
Mm-hmm.
Kellen Moore so elite. So I'm assuming that as the comfortability comes with Justin Herbert and Johnston, Quentin Johnston on the practice field, then they'll start showing up in the live games. I just think Justin Herbert is really comfortable with the players that he's throwing with right now, and I think he'll come. I mean, he's a big target. He threw one. It's funny too because it was a jump ball, and it was
Oh, the
something
one in
that
the
I
end
was
zone.
actually yeah, in the end zone. And I was talking. It's funny because one of the main things I talked about with Johnston was, he's really good with the 50-50 balls. And that was one he did not come down with. So,
Yep.
it's gonna be
Yep.
interesting to it's gonna be interesting to see where he go, man, what
Yeah.
happens. But this is still early. And so yeah, I think he gets going. I don't know about this week, but I think he
Right.
gets going eventually. It's still early.
He did have a nice play on where I think they lined up him and Keenan Allen on the same side, and it was against the cover 2 look from the Titans, and he went screaming down the seam and took the safety with him, and Keenan bended nicely into the honey hole in the cover 2 soft spot, and Herbert hit him, and the safety saw how Quentin was flying down the field and like ran with him and cleared him out. So I mean, it's not a huge play, but like doing stuff like that, I don't know if anybody else on that offense has the juice and the physical presence, at least. Well, the other guys got the physical presence, but at least the vertical juice
The
to
speed
offer
and
that
it
to
right,
this
right, right, right,
offense.
right.
Right. You have
Mhm.
what's the little guy that they got over there? The one small receiver, the Darius Davis, the rook, the return specialist guy. He's the one, but I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
tiny over out there.
Yeah, but
He's tiny.
he's not physical. He's not he's not
Yeah.
physically big.
Not physically big, and that's normally what a lot of those guys like, because so far we've seen Josh Palmer outsnap Johnston as well, and I wonder if that
He's look
starts to
right.
kind of be good. Josh
Mhm.
Palmer's always been pretty solid
That
too.
one, yeah, bro. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that one in the corner of the end zone, I thought he might have dragged his foot, but he didn't in the game last week against them. To
It's
slide it
still
over
early,
before
man.
it's still early.
Don't
It's
go
still
too ham, bro. It's
oh,
early. It's
no,
early.
no, I don't. We don't. No victory laps after week 2. No victory laps after week 3, 4. No, we still got a whole lot of ball left. Yeah, we still got a whole lot of
Hey,
ball left. Ain't
remember
nothing.
too, y'all tried to get on Christian Watson last year. Y'all tried to get it was early in that season too. Oh yeah, Watson this, Watson that. Next thing you know, yeah, that shit went
It's
down.
true.
Ain't nobody talking about Watson no more. Now it's just, oh yeah, Watson, he doing pretty good.
Well, as
He
we'll
doing
get
all
to in
right.
the next game, we still waiting on Watson to play this year. As we'll get to in the
Yeah,
next game.
yeah.
Yeah, as
Hamstring.
we'll get
Yes,
to in the
sir.
next game, talk about him some more. Before we give our score, though, to touch on the Minnesota Vikings defense so far, early sample size, watching what Brian Flores is bringing to this unit. A lot of different 3 safety packages is what stands out the most when I watch this team on film. Cam Bynum, Harrison Smith, Josh Metellus was manning the slot in a lot of situations. He ended up getting hurt pretty early in that Philly game, and then Theo Jackson ended up coming in and being that other third safety. And something about that, rather than just the scheme and kind of how Flores plays, that's something he did in his other times when he was in Miami. But something about it that stands out to me just a little bit. Lewis Seen is not on the defensive field at all. He is
Mhm.
only playing special teams. That's their former first round pick, the kid out of Georgia. He has played 0 defensive snaps so far for this Viking squad this year. And I was just hoping we were going to see him. I was wanting to see what he was going to be used and plugged into this defense. And even especially after Josh Metellus went out, he still didn't make it on the field.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know what's going on there, if the knee's right, but he's playing special teams, so I have to assume so. So we'll go ahead and keep an eye on that for the secondary. But one guy that I want to shout out, my guy Ivan Pace, the undrafted linebacker out of Cincinnati. He's undersized, but man, in Flores, this is just I saw the picture come together. I saw it. He just as a blitzer, as a battering ram, he's plugged in really, really nice over there. What are your initial thoughts though on this defense after they got rid of Ed Donatel from last season, going
Mhm.
into a defense with Brian Flores this year?
I like it more because one thing you could guarantee with Brian Flores is going to be more aggressive. He's going to send the blitz. He's definitely going to get after it. Even if he don't have the players to do it, he's going to try his best to get the pressure, on the quarterback. So that's one thing. That's what I like about some of these defensive coordinators, the aggressive ones, because when you don't have the players, you try to do anything you can to at least make your scheme work. The aggressive ones, the ones that try to, I don't know, try to make players fit in their scheme that don't really fit and they stick to that. Brian Flores ain't
Right.
that dude, man. I mean, he'll make it easier for you. And I think, as the season goes on, I think you'll start to see this Vikings defense start to come together. They don't have the pieces yet. I think they have a couple pieces over there, but not enough to really say, oh man, this is a Brian Flores defense. No, no. The Dolphins had the pieces over there. Shout out Vic Fangio and what they're doing over there. Shout out to them. But to me, that's still a Brian Flores. That's what he created over there. So I'm just give him some time. Let's see as a couple years go by to see what they can really do. But I'm expecting this defense to get better. The aggressiveness is what I'm really going to see. That's what
For
I'm
sure.
curious to see.
Yeah, I mean that Ed Donatel defense was just maddening at how easy they made it for opposing.
Yeah.
They were never, like you said, the aggressiveness is the biggest thing, and Ed Donatel was the opposite of that. He was passive, like so, just like nah,
Passive, bro.
nah. We just
And
gonna
you know
let you.
what? And not to cut you, I'm sorry, not
No,
to
go
cut you
ahead.
off, but just Mike Zimmer. When you now, I get it. He gets a lot of shit over the last couple years. When Mike Zimmer first got there, one thing you knew off top was that defense and
Pressure
the
packages from
creative,
Mike, man.
yeah, the
Yeah.
creative packages, the blitz packages that he had is what you know for the Vikings. And then they start to
Hmm.
fall off. The offense wasn't, what it was. It should have been better, whatever. But I mean, that's what you know from the Vikings. So when they fell off like that, the offense got really good, supposedly, should be, obviously, with the Kirk Cousins and, bringing in
Hmm.
the head coach, offensive dude. But the defense fell off too. I mean, it
Did.
was too passive, like you said, way too passive, not to what they're used to. So yeah, this is the right hire with Brian Flores, and I
Hmm.
just want to throw that in there because
Yeah.
Viking fans not used to that. They're not used to that
Viking
kind of
fans,
stuff.
it's so maddening, like, to watch it even. I mean, I'd watch it with, my in-laws, most of them are Vikings fans, so I watch the game with them, and then even just watching ball as we do, like, I sit there on Sundays and, I mean, I got the notes, right? I got the notes. I'm sitting there taking the notes, and
Mhm.
it's just I wrote down, like, "No pressure, no pressure, rush 4, rush 4." Then I just start adding exclamation points to that shit when I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
watching
yeah,
it
yeah,
Donatello because
yeah,
it's the
bro.
same thing
Yeah.
over again.
Right,
It's
right,
like
right,
like
right.
what the hell? And then like one time in
Yeah.
that wild card round against the Giants, he sent 5. Daniel Jones gets sacked. Who'd have thought that he don't do it again on the next drive? It's
Right, right,
just
right,
like,
right, right,
what are we
right.
doing? We don't need to sit there and
Yeah.
talk about him anymore. Flores is here right now, tops in the NFL in blitz rate through the first 2 weeks. He gonna
Mhm.
send that heat. Love seeing Ivan Pace over there flourishing for them as well. But with sending that heat, they're middle of the pack in sacks right now so far, and they are bottom 10 though in pressure rate overall. Want to try to see that pick up. And the one other part of it that I want to talk about before we give our score, sometimes what I've seen Flores do on the All 22 that I don't necessarily know if I recall him doing in his days in Miami, he
Mhm.
tapped into some drop 8 coverages last week against Philly. And that was one of the plays where Hurts threw a pick. He wasn't obviously expecting that either. Who would? That's
Right.
not necessarily in Brian Flores' DNA. So does he come up with some things like that, some wrinkles up his sleeve to offset what Justin Herbert and this Kellen Moore led offense has been bringing to the table? So
Mhm.
that's something to go ahead and pay attention to. Just
Mhm.
see if they're rushing 3 and you can only see those couple of guys that let you know they're doing some form, for everybody listening, of some form of a drop 8 coverage, just flooding the windows in the passing game. Jay, what's your score? How do we arrive at that juncture?
I got the Vikings, man. I got the Vikings. They're at home. I think, I mean, both teams got their back against the wall, with two teams that we thought would have wins right now. But I think because they're at home and that Vikings crowd, I just think it's really gonna make a difference. I'm still concerned. We talked about Kellen. Now, we didn't get to this, and I've talked about it with Justin Herbert throughout his college years. But Kellen Moore and bringing in the balanced offense is great. They're throwing the ball deep, all of that. But Justin Herbert is not as accurate downfield, bro. He's not as accurate downfield like he should be. And this is something that I noticed when he was playing with Oregon. And so I'm a little, I want to see more from him. I want to see him be more successful downfield. I have not seen that yet. I shouldn't say I want to see it, but I want to see it. If I'm sitting here looking from a scout perspective and just seeing his game and how he's been playing, that's something that I want to see him improve on. So that's something that, I'm curious to see how they approach this Viking secondary, because it can be had. It can be had for sure. I got the Vikings though, man. I brought up, I think they're going to be able to get the running game going against this Chargers defense. The Chargers secondary has been a big question mark. We talked about that. This team just seemed rattled. They seem rattled. I don't think it's to a point where, like we talked about earlier with the Chargers, where you knew, okay, they couldn't stop the run. And, it was like a flaw. I was like, okay, they can't stop the run. They go out, get Khalil Mack. They got Joey Bosa. They get some big dudes up front. Still can't stop the run. Okay, cool. The secondary is still all right. It's okay, But now it's to a point where now teams are lighting up the secondary. And what Justin Jefferson was able to do these last couple of weeks, what Kirk Cousins was able to do, like they've took losses, but it's been close. And they've been in these games.
Both teams, man. Both teams.
Both teams, but Chargers don't. If I have to pick a team to really close out,
yeah, you don't have any confidence in the Chargers. Yeah,
I don't got no confidence because they haven't shown me they can do it.
Right? Why would you? They went and blew that lead. Did you see? My bad, you haven't gave your score yet, but did you see in a post game presser after the Titans game, some reporter asked Brandon Staley if this has anything to do with the collapse in the playoffs against Jacksonville, and that dude. And I get it, rightfully so. He's like, no, I don't. Like, he really let him know. He really drove that point home. But considering it's the Chargers, it makes you wonder.
It makes sense.
You know what I mean? It makes you wonder. They lose the close game, and then they have the huge lead, and they lose that too. Like, I mean, where, like you said, bro, where are they instilling confidence?
Yeah, I got the Vikings in this one. I think they can get a little bit more going in the run game. Concerned with the run game of the run defense of the Chargers. Obviously, like we've been since they've been there, and now I'm worried about secondary with the Chargers. I am with the Vikings. Just real quick, those tackles that we brought up, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, they definitely can eat. This is what makes it a game. I just think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what the offenses really can do and who can close out a game. And I think it's going to come down with the Vikings. So give me the Vikings. This one I do think is going to be it's crazy because I think about that last game. You're right, it's a little bit higher scoring game, that last game that we talked about. But with this one here, the Vikings, give me close to that, but a little bit higher. Give me the Vikings 30 and give me the Chargers 27.
Okay. I think this might be the first preview show, the first game that we have previewed in 2023 where we both have the same winner in the preview. I think it might be. Who do we? Because
we had a couple.
Steelers and Niners. For some reason, that guy was a stupid idiot and took the Steelers, even though I had the Niners in the Super Bowl. But it's week one, whatever. And I mean, we were split last week on Raiders and Bills. We were split on the game before this. We were split on.
That's only one of the games out of all the games, though.
We were split on Miami and the Chargers in week one. We were split. Yeah. So I can't think of any other games where we have actually agreed on a preview.
What was the other? Yeah, but we had other. Yeah,
we have 4 games week 1. We have 4 games week 2.
You had the Lions. Didn't you have the Lions? I
had the Lions over Seattle.
I had the Lions over Seattle too.
Okay, so we agreed there.
One. And then
Seattle beat them.
Right. We both took the L there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we both had the Bears when they played the Packers.
That's true. We did.
We took it.
So
We
I
took
guess
it
if we
L.
both pick the same team, I guess that team lose.
That's what
The
it is.
Chargers
Doesn't
still, the
matter.
Chargers juju can't match ours though. I'm gonna tell you right now, their juju way worse. they got
Facts,
they got
bro.
decades of evidence. We got 2 weeks.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings too, man. I just like you were laying out, like we talked about. They're gonna Charger it up. You know, what I mean, bolt up. I'm sorry, all of my Charger fans. Hi, Jeffrey, Jason. I'm sorry, y'all. This is just where I don't think y'all honestly even think like, come on, man. No, like you're like, I get it. You know, they all three of them gentlemen are all smart fans, so they understand. And Minnesota fans, the reason why I'm landing here beyond just the Charger Juju, if these teams were to take those logos off the helmets and we were to look at the guys and just the names on the back of the jersey and the coaches as we know them to be, considering what we've seen from this Charger defense and considering the type of bullseye now that's been put on JC Jackson and considering the player we know, Justin Jefferson, to be, he going to eat all of these secondary members' lunch on Sunday,
Yeah.
as is Jordan Addison, as is TJ Hawkinson. And like you said, this will be the opportunity for the Vikings run game to get some ground going. So that's really what I'm expecting here in this game. I do like it to be high scoring. I do see that happening. Let me go ahead and call it Vikings 30. Yeah, like what you said, Vikings 30, Chargers 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, 30-27. Let's do that. 30-27. That sounds like a great score.